All right, everything
Now,
is working.
now,
Yay.
Wow.
we are live now. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Sorry for those
Woo!
technical difficulties. Googly Chrome was not participating with us today.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It's always
it's
somebody trying to
being
take us
really
out. It's
weird.
fine.
Also, I'm trying something new here this week. We just got Monster Cat. I don't know if any of you guys know what that is. So if you hear some music in the background, let me know. Let me know if it's too loud. Let me know if it's too quiet. I can make some adjustments here on the fly with that.
Oh, we have
But
Monster Cat. It's a music thing. Is that what that little thing at the bottom was?
yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
little.
So that shows you the name of the song that's playing at any given time. But I don't know if I have it set up right so that everyone can hear it because I couldn't check that because my computer was being
I
dumb.
I couldn't hear it,
We couldn't hear it, but it told us like
but
what
it
song.
told us what it was, and you couldn't click on it either. So that was
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
But the sound definitely was not coming through on my end.
Interesting, interesting. All right, well, I'll play with that more later, I guess.
Did any of you guys in chat hear that? Hear any cool music while we were trying to figure out our lives? Let us know. But we are here to talk about the Retro Ranger wrap up. We are doing a 4-episode stream today because you guys said it would be best if we just combined the story arc into one massive episode. And I think you guys were right in that choice of just kind of combining
Definitely,
these.
yeah. After watching all four of these, I think I probably would have watched the rest of them anyway, just because like I know I complain about pacing in this show a lot, but the
Yeah.
pacing was just like really like I enjoyed all these episodes as a whole, but
Yeah,
each individual one, it was weird. Like there's a little bit of disconnected story here and a little bit of disconnected story here, but when you put it all together, it all kind of came together and made sense.
yeah.
Are we going
Very
to be talking about all of these episodes as a whole, or are we going to do quickly talk about each of the four?
I
How
was
do we
thinking
want
we
to
would
do it?
just talk about the whole thing, like all together.
Okay.
Not really. I'm not gonna go through any notes or errors this week with these. We'll just focus on the story as it is. Weird things that we noticed, like the mega wiener.
Yeah.
yeah. It came
The
back.
Mega Wiener was a weird thing for sure.
It showed us all something different.
Did it? I thought we would all see the
Well,
same thing. I
yeah,
mean,
well,
I like Zane and I like his confidence about it. I'm happy to see him back, and I'm happy that they did reference the pseudo date they went on and how he didn't really explain anything, like how it was set up, how he was like, fraternizing with the enemy pretty much.
Well, yeah, they
yeah,
didn't tell anyone.
Yeah, and I like how Andros is still the protective older brother, where it's like, so you went on a date? That's with my sister when she was evil? Like, I feel like you're a traitor. Maybe we should keep an eye on you
Yeah,
too.
I think Andros took that pretty well.
Yeah, like
yeah.
surprisingly well.
Like when he told him, like, yeah, I have interest in her too. He was like, interest. It
Wait,
was one of
what?
those hold on, what you mean? What you mean interest? Hold
But I
on, we
mean,
gonna
like,
have to
he should
learn.
have an interest to begin with because obviously they all grew up on the same planet, and I'm assuming they're best friends since they were kids.
Yeah, but his interest was to take her to Bone Town. So
Yeah.
that's completely
Well, he
different.
does have that super mega wiener, so.
Where did that come
It's what
from?
it's
Like,
for.
did I miss when he like him getting that? It just kind of
No,
it just kind of seemed like he just showed up. Was like, hey guys, check out my new thing.
no, yeah, they
Yeah,
said, oh,
that's
well,
pretty much how it was.
that's what, well, pretty much how it was because he said, oh yeah, the rebels built it. You like it? He said that to him. So it was like, all right,
Oh,
we're
okay,
just
so
gonna throw
I
that
missed
in.
that line then. So he got it from the people on KO 35.
Yeah, so I mean, besides like mining and trying to figure out how to live and create a society, they listened to their new overlord and made him a ship. So that's what
Interesting.
was
Okay.
happening. That's what I
That's like
think.
really crazy that they made it for him though, considering they were like low on resources and hiding out for X number of
That's
years.
that's why I said their new overlord. I'm telling you, we don't
All
want to
right.
know what's happening there. That's what I think. I think he was like, make this ship. I'm bored. You know, I'm gonna burn my cigar. Yeah, make it. And they're just like, ah, yes, sir. And I think that's what's happening. So
Okay, I mean, there
we'll
was a
see.
lot of twists and turns in these 4 episodes where it's like double cross, double cross, double triple cross. So I wouldn't be surprised if we find out Zane is actually evil and has been leading some kind of like slave labor campaign to build his super mega wiener. I don't know. I don't know. We're
Oh,
going way, way off. I actually really did like these episodes. I was super happy to see that Zane is back. I was super interested that they already revealed like Astronema like kind of coming up, being good, going back. It reminded me of Cat's story. Like, hey, I'm evil, but I'm going to pretend to be, I am good, but I'm going to pretend to be evil to help save you guys and everything else. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And she comes back as like cyborg 7 of 9 style face attachment.
Brainwashing. It's
well,
like,
both her and Ecliptor.
Yes.
Like Ecliptor was first. Like he got that brainwashing, and then he did it to her. And like we officially now know how many lives Darkonda has.
Yeah, he's a cat.
Yes, he's like a cat. He's got 9, buddy. And
yeah, because I was tripping out. I was tripping out because he was destroyed in the last episode. I'm like, man, the continuity of Power Rangers is always going to be the same. But I like how they ended up explaining that.
Yeah,
that he blows up all the time.
Something that was interesting for me there in that scene where Ecliptor killed Darkonda in that first episode that we saw. So he comes up, he does the sword swipe, and stands there facing the other direction as Darkonda explodes behind him. And then
I like that samurai style.
and then the camera cut, like he stands there for a good like 3 or 4 seconds, and just like, yeah, I just killed that guy. And then the camera cuts to a different angle, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm so weak. It was just like it was a very bizarre shift.
Well, he had to hold his stance, that very like Kill Bill pause.
Right, yeah.
You know. But it used all his energy. Like, I don't know, I thought it was dramatic. I really like Ecliptor. Like, I always liked his character design, but I like that he's sympathetic to Astronema, and they have this kind of bond. And I'm kind of wondering, because he raised her, is that the only reason that he's like, hey, I'm going to protect you, instead of like, hey, you know the deal, girl. Like, we've been friends for a long time. I know you're conflicted, but you got to be a baddie, man.
And that's another thing. Like, they know they're evil. Like, they know that they are not good people.
Yeah.
So that's also kind of a weird thing for me, because when you think about it, in most movies or TV shows, the bad guys don't actually think that they're bad guys. They're not evil just for the sake of being evil. They're just like, all right, well, this is what these are the things I'm going to do. This is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. It doesn't really matter whether it's good or bad. This is the thing. Here, though, they were like, all right, no, those guys are good, you're not, and that's just the way the world works. And it was just kind of interesting to see them take that take on it.
Well, because remember, they know that they are working for like the personification of evil, because that's what
Dark Spectre is.
Yeah, Dark Spectre is. Like, he's like, I am the Prince or King of Evil. He says it every time he shows up. He's like, well, being the King of Evil is hard. Oh my God, shut up. So like, he does it all the time.
In X-Men, because I hear people refer to the Brotherhood as the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants all the time. But in the comics, they don't actually call it the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, right? It's just the Brotherhood of Mutants.
That's right.
So it's I don't know. I think it's just like it's a fun aspect of the show that they know that this is a thing, and because it's for kids, more or less targeting kids, they're making sure to point out, these are the bad guys. You don't want to do the things that the bad guys are doing. Those are the good guys. Those are the guys that you want to be rooting for.
But see, even more so, because I talked about this the other week, and I was hoping that Astronema, we would find out, is actually brainwashed or under some kind of like magic spell or something, because they identify themselves as evil. And Astronema, up to this point, has just been raised in this kind of culture, and she doesn't necessarily like, I don't know, she's evil, but turns into a Power Ranger and wants to be good. It just seems like less of an excuse. Like, I know I'm in my full capacity and thinking abilities, and I'm choosing to be evil and kill these people. And like, honestly, like, if I was the Rangers and they, brought her back, and like, I would be super distrusting of her too, and not in like a 1 episode turnaround of like, you're an honorary Power Ranger, we're going to give you a communicator and like a suit. I'd be like, you got to watch her back, man. Like, she tried to kill us like this entire season.
But I mean, I think that kind of ties into my issue with pacing this episode. Like, it's almost like, I don't know. Have either of you guys seen Nip Tuck?
Yes.
No.
So Nip Tuck, it's a Ryan Murphy show, the same guy that does American Horror Story and Glee and I think like American all that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed that show, but the thing with it was the timing was always super weird. Like you'd have one episode, you'd find out that someone's pregnant and someone else is going to jail. And then the person going to jail would have like a 3-month sentence or something. They would get out of jail, and the person who was pregnant now has a newborn kid. It's like, wait a second, that's not how time works. And that's
when you're in the Ryan Murphy universe,
right? And I feel like it's not the same issue here, but it's similar where it's like they know that they have to push through a certain amount of story because they only have a certain amount of episodes to get there. So it makes it hard to give a good spread to the amount of story that they need to tell.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
No, it's kind of like the pacing is always going to be a little bit off. Like even just deciding in the first part, like Dark Spectre's Revenge 1 and 2, like I don't know why they didn't wrap up the asteroid story in that first part. And I was really like, damn, I don't even want to watch the part 2 if it's going to continue with the asteroid story. Like they're obviously going to win against that, but they tied it up at the end. Like Zane comes back, and I felt like Zane coming back would have been a really good climax for the end of part 1 and be like, oh, so what's going to happen next? Like all the Rangers are together, and I don't know, but I get you on the pacing. It's weird, and the cuts that they decide to put in the story arc are a little weird too.
For these 4 episodes specifically, it's like I feel like it would have been a really solid 2-parter if they condensed a lot of the story down, because they could have gotten rid of like 2 of the big monster fights because they were just completely unnecessary. They were just there because they needed a monster fight in the episode. And
yeah, I agree.
I feel like that slowed down the rest of the exposition and the storytelling that we were getting from elsewhere. Like that plant monster thing, it was just kind of it didn't really matter. Like I was getting more out of the scenes with Bulk and Skull and the professor than I did out of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then going to space was weird. Oh, go ahead, Daniel.
No, the plant monster was just really a filler, just so that the kids could say, "Oh, hey, something I remember, which is monsters," And
because
I remember what the show's about, because clearly it's not about character development for kids.
Right.
It's not. So, but for older people that were watching the show, they had to make sure that they still gave us some level of character development to still make the show valid. So that's why we still had these like filler monsters out of nowhere.
It's the formula that they kind of have to stick to, which I think I'm pretty sure like Joe and Jezer and Corey talk about this all the time with like the new series where now with the way it is, they kind of feel like the show could stand to go on for more than just 2 seasons, so that it kind of grows with the audience. Because like Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter movie was clearly aimed at a younger audience than the last Harry Potter movie was.
The themes grow.
Right, the movies grew up with the kids in the show. So there's no I don't think there's any reason why Power Rangers couldn't do the same thing, and maybe instead of resetting every 2 years, reset every 4 years. So it's like all through middle school or all through high school, you've got the same group of people that you're following.
But even then, I feel like you can make children's shows that appeal to adults without being pandering to either audience. Like Disney is kind of a good example of that. I feel like, things like Gravity Falls, like even things like Shrek that are pop culture and corny and like not really that great, like adults can find a reason to enjoy it and kids will enjoy it. Because even this with like Dark Spectre being like, hey, Astronema, I need you to prove your loyalty to me. I kind of feel like he should have sent down the monster, and then she grapples with like, should I help the Power Rangers? Should I not? And it could still have the monster, but have a more complex story written around it, where she is now like, what do I do? Should I prove my loyalty to them, or should I go to my brother? And like, instead of her sending it down and then being compromised, where I'm like, yo, girl, you kind of just look like a biatch for being like, hey, I'm sending down the monster, but hey, I saved you, so you're gonna forgive me, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not down with that.
I think with her sending down the monster, it was still her. There was still that level of conflict and things like that. But also besides that, it was her kind of playing the long game. At this moment, she's kind of afraid that she's getting caught, and she needs to be able to play enough for them to be happy with her, as far as everyone that's evil, and then still do something that she knows won't really kill the Rangers. So she's like, all right, sure, I'll send this monster down. No problem, whatever you want. And she sends it down, knowing that still the Rangers are going to beat it.
But I
I
feel
think
like
she
she
kind
should
of had
have
that idea.
just said that too and be like, well, maybe I'll send this one down to, I don't know, like kind of what you're saying, but just making it a little more obvious. Like
Well,
I got the sense that she was doing it to actually try to destroy the Rangers because I mean there was still
mhm,
the fight and everything, and they were
true.
still having like a struggling time with that one. And I just want to see her a little more conflicted, I
Yeah.
guess, because
Well,
her
I
whole
think
thing was weak.
I think for me too, it was I was having a hard time figuring out what her motivation to switch sides was.
Hmm.
It just kind of seemed like it was out of nowhere. She was like, you know what? I kind of like Zane, so I'm gonna go and see what I can do to help out the Power Rangers. Like there was no real interaction with them where it felt like she was really questioning what she was doing.
I'll say in the comments, like right now, the comments are blowing up talking about it.
What do we
And
got?
Blackwing did say something concerning, well, kind of like inner conflict. That's what we wanted to see. We want to see it just like how Vader had to deal with some stuff.
Right.
We want to see it like we want to see that moment of the second guess, the thought of, well, should I, shouldn't I, and really vocalize it for the audience, especially being the age that they were. It would have made more sense. Give us that exposition that's in our face for this moment. The thing that we usually complain about is the thing that actually needed to be done to help establish or help us understand or sympathize with that character. And that's, I feel, what's missing. My opinion.
I mean, that makes sense. Daniel, you look frozen to me. I don't know if that's just a me problem,
No, no,
but
no. He's got the Dark Specter face mask on where he
Oh,
can
yeah,
talk,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he can't actually
okay,
move.
we're doing
Oh,
ADR
that's
Yeah,
ADR
great.
yeah,
style
yeah.
right now. But yeah, no, I kind of get that. Like, I do like the internal conflict. I do wish it was fleshed out a little bit, more, but I think that's the expectation of Power Rangers. They have like really great ideas uh, great ideas a lot of the time, but it's not executed extremely well. But man, I mean, I hate to switch routes on this conversation, but since you were mentioning Star Wars and Darth Vader, I did not know that the Quantrons or maybe the other foot soldiers were just people wearing costumes. Because they did the whole stormtrooper thing where it's like, hey, let's
Oh,
knock
yeah.
out these Quantrons and then wear their costumes. And I was like, what? I thought that was just part of their body. Like, there's humans in there that have a real life that probably have like a wife and kids, and they're just trying to do their best and work at their job. And I was like, that just tripped me out. Like, I don't know. I don't know about you guys or you guys in the chat, but I just thought they were like aliens that if you slice them open, guts would come out, and they weren't just like a humanoid creature that was wearing this costume.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. But it
Was
was
that
like, yeah,
that's
when they
weird,
did.
right?
Oh, well, I mean, hey, on Star Wars, we went from, all right, we have clones. Now we figure out clones are defective. So let's kidnap children and make them into, because that's what they did in the new Star Wars. So, I mean, it's kind of like, they probably thought the same thing. We can't have these mindless kind of things. Let's, I guess, hire people.
I
Maybe
guess, but
that's
like
what
the
they did.
putties were like made out of clay, so like
Well,
killing
yeah.
them like was kind of like, oh, you're just hurting the clay. Like it's not a big deal when you blow up the monsters. They're just made out of clay from Finster. But now we're entering like a really dark realm of Power Rangers
Where
where
they're
these
actually
guys are just
real.
trying to make like they're just trying to make a living. Like they probably have like
Are they?
family and
Or
friends, you know?
are they, or are
But
they
I
only kind
mean,
of like
th-
subjugated to like
gu-
this kind of fear that's going on? They're like,
Maybe.
this
you
kind of
better be
goes.
one, or you're gonna die.
This kind of goes to the your average stormtrooper doesn't know how to install plumbing argument on the Death Star. Uh,
Okay.
like so they know. We were talking earlier about the fact that they know that they're evil. So these monsters know what they're getting into when they start working for these
Oh yeah,
villains.
that whatever organization it is.
Do you think it's by choice though, or do you think it's more like out of necessity? Like on this particular planet, this is the big bad that's ruling, and if I want a job, like you're a serf, and then you have to work for the master, like in olden times, and like if I'm gonna farm this plot, it's not really mine; it belongs to someone else.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say because, like, if you think back to the episode with the what was it, the Grumblebee or whatever it was.
Yeah.
We knew that he was being forced into doing it, but none of the other creatures that we've seen have mentioned any kind of do I have to do this, or they're
all willing to serve, like show up and they're like, how can I help you, princess, so
that's true.
It's weird. So when I see things like this, it's just like a whole realm. I wonder if they're ever going to dive into this in the comics, or maybe have like a one-off of all these foot soldiers coming together after a long day and be like, man, I really miss Bob, he was such a good guy, like 3 days from retirement, and the Power Rangers just like blew him up,
right? And then they have to be like, man, I mean, they say the Power Rangers are heroes, but they kill a lot of people.
Thinking about it, I would kind of put Power Rangers and the I don't think dichotomy is the right word, but that's the one that I'm going to use. The dichotomy between the heroes and the villains into the same place that I would put the relationship between heroes and villains in Venture Brothers.
I have not seen Venture Brothers, but please elaborate.
Man. So if you like Rick and Morty, you would really, really like Venture Brothers. Maybe after. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. After this season of Rick and Morty ends, or through these episodes, we'll switch from Rick and Morty to Venture Brothers, and we'll start with Venture Brothers from the beginning.
Okay, that sounds actually pretty interesting, especially if they're similar. They're very, like, I'm actually trying to dive into The Last Airbender because I think Matthew Thompson mentioned that, and I was like, man, it's on Netflix. I have to watch that too.
It is, and I'm going to start watching it too.
I forget what the other show I was going to ask you about. Johnny Quest. Have you ever seen Johnny Quest, or do you know what Johnny Quest is?
Is that the guy with the blonde, like, barrel roll hair that wears a really tight black T-shirt?
Yeah.
Okay,
like a 60s 70s style cartoon. They would go like old, like Indiana Jones serials, but with a kid that was kind of the main character.
No, but she's referring to
Johnny Bravo.
No, she said the hair and
the tight black shirt.
That's Johnny Bravo. Johnny Quest was a kid he was a son of an adventurer. He had a friend named Haji, completely racist, and they had a dog. And Johnny Quest would go on adventures while his scientist dad would like research something. Johnny would always go and get into some problem, some shenanigans with some evil organization, and he'd always save the day.
It would almost be like if you had a cartoon series about Indiana Jones and Short Round.
Oh, yes. Okay. I mean, that sounds pretty fun.
The Venture Brothers is that, but in a Rick and Morty style, weird, like ultra meta universe where like you've got like there's villains and there's heroes, and the villains know that like they have a society where they have to get permission to arch the heroes, and it's I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah.
No, I get you. No, but you're genius. But the thing is, what you were bringing up was like, I wonder if they would ever address how the villains feel, just like they do on Venture Brothers.
Exactly.
And the villains would have those, like you said, like Elle said, will they be able to sit down after a long, hard day? Man, the Power Rangers, blah, blah. And then, watch one of the Quantrons have to figure out, like, okay, this is the socioeconomical kind of situation I'm in, and because of this, I have to either choose to be a villain, like you said, I have to be a serf and then move my way up and become a villain and all this, and just really get into the whole mindset of why being a Quantron is something that's even a viable option, and why someone would want to be it. That would be interesting. Way too adult for the audience. Way too adult for the audience, but good. It would be a good one-shot for the comic. It definitely
I think that's a really good place.
We need to hit up Ryan and be like, yo, got an idea for a one-shot.
Right, because like the putties, it makes sense. They're created specifically for this purpose, and at the end of the episode, they're destroyed. And we found out with like Rita and Zed, like it was loyalty or kind of like fear of them that kept their minions together. So I'm kind of like interested in that. Like I want the world expanding because especially with Astronema being good, being evil, like having these conflicted, kind of like crisis like going on right now. Like I want to see that more from the villains. I think that would be interesting. Just like I want to see Bulk and Skull rise from more, like they're out of the bully character, but I want them to be
up.
Better.
They're still
like
idiots,
I want them
but they've
to have
grown
a
up.
real story, but like idiots. And I was kind of thinking the rocket that they had when they're going into space was going to help destroy the meteor somehow, and like they're inadvertently still helping the Power Rangers, even though they don't get to interact that often. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy stuff. Like there's potential for so much good. Like this season, like in space is so ridiculously good, but there is still so much room for growth to make it like phenomenally good.
I agree. I definitely agree. But the thing is, from where we were to where we are now with Power Rangers, from where we've come from, these are leaps and bounds beyond what we've known to get to where we are. Like to have that kind of complex structure, to know that there is some level of internal conflict with a character in Power Rangers is even amazing. And I love how we were able to, throughout these 4 episodes, we were able to address and see the kind of like so many stages of realizing I'm evil, but it's not what I am. Like Layla said something in the comments where it kind of goes that whole thing of, okay, someone isn't born evil, evil is taught. Nature versus nurture.
Right.
It's a nature versus nurture thing. And her nature apparently is still to be good. But she was nurtured and taught and raised to be evil. So it's so great to see that as far as her character, because it gives her depth.
But I wish I had more of that pull where it's like I want to be good, but Ecliptor cares for me and I don't want him to get in trouble, so maybe I should just continue being evil to save him because I've spent most of my life with him. Like he's basically my parent figure. Or do I trust my blood brother that I haven't seen in like, I don't know, 10 years? Like she was how old when she was like kidnapped? And then having that loyalty of like, I love you both, but and kind of going through that, like you protect me. Maybe I could bring you over to the Power Rangers and we could be good together or something like that.
So I do love it. I do love it, but I also love that she's kind of taking the Kylo Ren role, where it's like, okay, Dad is going to talk to me, and Dad is going to tell me I have to get rid of something, and I'm going to get rid of the thing that that's holding me back, which is my connection to Dad, my connection to what Dad is connected to. So ultimately, I'm going to kill my dad. It's not Oedipus, but ultimately, I'm going to kill my dad so that I can be free, and my dad is going to sacrifice himself so that I can be free. So it's kind of like a Kylo Ren thing, but not full on.
A show that I think does that kind of thing really well is Supernatural. So that show has been on for like we're in
20 years.
We're finally in the last season. It's 15, so it might as well be 20. But this is the last season. As soon as whenever the whatever pandemic ends and they can go back to production, I think we'll finally see the end of the show. But over the 15 years of the show, we've seen people and characters that were villains when they first met up to become people that they teamed up with, and like kind of they were not necessarily friends but friendly with by the end of the show. And it's just it's that same thing. It's the effect that the characters that they're interacting with are having on those other people. So now that Astronema was interacting with the Rangers more, she sees that there's more to life than what she originally thought it was, which was just being the queen of evil.
Interesting. But also, man, like, does she want to be like, let's be real, like in a world that's kind of like, they obviously have like a power structure, would you give up being the queen or the princess of evil to be a regular civilian? Like you have these minions like waiting on you hand and foot, you have respect, you have prestige, and are you willing to give that up? Daniel, what say you?
am I able to bang the Brad Pitt of Power Rangers? Because that's
he was down. He was down.
tell you,
But he was down when she was evil. But maybe now that she's good, that attraction has been lost. Maybe he just likes the girls, you know? Like I like her because like we're fighting and I'm into, you know, like.
And then he's like, yeah, she's like, you could be in my blonde hair. He just showed me
like the girl next door, and like, oh man, like, do you want to put the armor back on?
Yeah, he's like, oh, you look just like Ashley. I turned her down like something ago.
She does, right? Like for a quick second, like not paying attention with the haircut and everything else. It is very much like Ashley, considering like they were having that kind of like love interest. It seemed like, and Andros was getting really jealous. And then I was like, they got a girl that looks very similar to Ashley, and like, you know, facial structure is a little bit different and everything. But you know, he has a type.
Honestly, would I want to give all that up to be with my brother? Honestly, and I'm being real. My question would be, who is more likely to win? Because that's who I'm gonna connect to.
Yo, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean,
when it's all said and done, I don't wanna lose and be jailed forever with the bad guys, and I don't want to lose and be murdered with the good guys. You know, like so. Because if I team up with the good guys and they lose, straight up murdered. If the like the bad guys are just gonna kill you. But if I lose with the villains, the Rangers are, I gotta put you in jail, or we'll put you in those containers. That's what they're doing in the comic. No, they're doing that in the comic. They're putting them in the containers where they put Rita. There's a good one-off.
Oh, she's in a trash bin?
Oh my trash bins? Oh my God, it's so good in the comic. So
that'd be great.
They go over the story of what happens in the trash bin. It's like a holodeck. And the thing is, you're reliving...
Wait, is this in Go-Go, or is this in...
it's in Mighty Morphin.
It's in Mighty Morphin.
Actually,
okay.
No. It's in Go-Go because it's something that happened in the past and it's filling in a lot. So it's in the current...
I guess I'm not caught up, but that's super cool.
Yes, and
I like that.
They go over it, and it's really a torture chamber, like a holodeck torture chamber. So it's making you relive all these horrible things you did to people as these people.
Oh, that's kind of great.
Really, yes. So you can really get perspective, and it is. There's a moment lives her life as a little girl, and grows up. Little girl grew up, and then gets to a point where they're like, "Oh, what's happening?" And they're like, "We have to run." Like she's older now, and they're like, "We have to run. We're being invaded." Blah blah. And then she's freaking out. She sees some things. Last thing she sees is Rita come down, and then boom, and kills everyone in the town. And then she's out of it, and she's living the life of someone else that also suffered because of Rita, and doing this and doing it is harsh.
Huh.
And
this is like weird Clockwork Orange Power Rangers like mental retraining. That's crazy.
Yes, and that's what happens inside the trash bin. So the thing is, which one do you want? Do you want death, or do you want to live in hell forever?
That's hard pickings, man.
Yeah, but Josh, what about you?
I would go the Austin Powers #2 route. Where like if I decided that I was unhappy being the villain, I'd be like, okay, well let's start some legit companies over here and start start transitioning out of being the bad guys, and then I can kind of start splitting away, and just
so you're gonna make a Power Ranger
transition over. Yeah.
And then like little franchises, and it's like you're in charge of this. Like we're under the same name, but you really get to do your own thing with whatever.
You know, I could open up a grocery store, like Lord Zed's Mega Mart or something. I don't know. Like just all the a laundromat. You know, all these businesses that go to fund the evil things, and then one day I could just be like, you know what? I'm gonna cut off the evil stuff. I've got all these other things that are making me plenty of money. I'm good.
That's actually really funny. I can imagine Finster running a colony mine. I don't know if those still exist, but it was like a pottery thing where you like decorate pottery and he'll create people come and paint it. Like I'm super dead. Like Goldar is gonna have like a jewelry shop and like be selling like gold rings and stuff, and be like, man, that's legit. Like Rita Astronema is gonna open up like a Victoria's Secret with their like crazy like brawware.
Oh my God, that would be genius. The only problem with Finster is that Every once in a while, you have to kill your wife, but you're gonna love what you do here.
Right? The Machine Empire, they like open up their own mechanic shop. Like, dude, everyone like Piranhatrons and stuff, like Diva Talks, they're gonna open up a swim school, teach kids how to swim.
Oh my God! El,
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
So we.
El, do you work for the mafia? Like, you know, to legitimize things really quick.
We've only got a few minutes left here because we are coming up on 6 o'clock. So everyone in the chat, since I'm not going through the notes or the errors this week, go ahead and give me your scores for all 4 of these episodes that we've watched. Or actually, you know what? Go for all 5. Give me your rating for the whole arc.
The whole thing? As a whole.
From last week through this week.
And Thomas, I see your question about the Psycho Rangers. To answer you, I think what we're going to do is we're going to split it in half. So we're going to do the first 3 episodes next week, and then the second half of it the week after that. We're probably going to break up the rest of the season 2 because we've only got 13 episodes left before we're at the end.
I can't believe it's already almost done, and we still
right?
haven't found Zordon, and we're kind of back to where we started as Astronema and Ecliptor are evil. Like, this is like Rick and Morty at the reset where it's like, hey, everything's going to go back to season 1.
Right.
Like, what's going on?
And it's weird because, like I said, these next 6 episodes it's all one arc here. Like it's all the Psycho Ranger stuff, and then after that, we've only got another 7 episodes left. 2 of them are the finale, so there's like 5 like standalone one-offs. So we'll try to figure out how we'll split this all up, but we're probably only going to have maybe 5 shows left before we move on to Lost Galaxy.
Yeah, but next week we'll be doing the next 3 episodes, the first 3 episodes of that 6-episode arc. So make sure to stay tuned for that. We'll be here at the same time next Sunday.
And Daniel, what are you going to rate this arc here?
This arc, it was good. It's different from anything that we really experienced when it comes to Power Rangers. They really tried as far as pushing through storyline and everything like that. Just shortening down my answer, I'm giving it a 5.
Elle?
Cool. I don't know. We kind of went back to where we started. I don't see a whole lot of growth. It's just disappointment with Andros, and everyone knows kind of the backstory that he's so close and yet so far. It is building up the suspense. I did really enjoy it. I didn't like the monsters. I thought the story could be a little bit better. So I'm going to bide my time for now and give it a 4. And I might retroactively change that depending how the rest of this season goes.
I actually agree with Elle. I'm also giving it a 4. For me, it's a lot of the same stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, the pacing was kind of weird. The monsters, like the fights with the monsters, just kind of felt like they were forced in there just because they needed the fights. Because at the end of the day, Power Rangers is still a monster of the episode show. So that's just kind of how that works. But I feel like a lot of that got in the way of the story itself. So I liked the overall story. I just wish it had been a little bit tighter.
And in the chat, Thomas Franco gives it a 5 out of 5. Mikey gives it a 5 out of 5. Larry Newbill a 5. Layla Nolan a 5. Edward Sanchez Productions 5. Metal Ryan Clara is a bunch of 5s. I can't count those. And Blackwing is a 5 out of 5 for the Karone arc. I want to see more. I am devastated too that she turned back evil, but I mean, she's a big bad. We know she's going to be a ranger, so things will eventually work out. But I'm interested in how that's all going to change, and then her relationship, obviously, with Zane.
Yeah, like so. I feel like the whole it sucks because I feel like the whole story arc that we saw in these 5 episodes, like with the way it just shifted back to the norm at the end, it could have been 1 episode, maybe 2, and we would have ended up in the same place, gotten the same amount of story, and they would have had more episodes to deal with other things later in the season. So it's just I don't know, like it was good, it just wasn't.
It sets the stage. Like yeah. I'm excited to see what's next. I hope it's not because obviously the next coming in, so hopefully everything will be coming together. I really see what's happening with Zordon. We've been looking for him for an entire season, haven't found him, so that was like a fun twist. But
right, like
yeah, looking forward to the next story.
Man, like I actually would have given this arc a 5 if they had found Zordon and he would have been there until the end. Like I know what happens to him at the end of the at the end of in the end.
Oh yeah.
So I mean that's not really a spoiler for me, but I don't know how that would have worked if, like, I feel like it may have given that even more of an emotional, like, tug if they had him for another, like, 5 or 6 episodes before that had to happen.
Or if it was actually him and they were holding him hostage in this episode, and for whatever reason they couldn't get to him,
Right,
and he was
right.
like, Rangers, you came, and then something terrible happened. Like, that would have been raising the suspense.
The thing that makes this even worse is that we already had that same switcheroo trick done on us way earlier with Joe's favorite Ranger.
The Phantom
Phantom
Ranger?
Ranger.
Yeah, he had the same thing where he's like, Phantom Ranger, I am so glad that you're stupid. Ha 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 ha.
I mean, he could have.
I was like, what the hell?
But they could have even made it like an Admiral Akbar moment. Like, you know, they could have just come up, Zordon's there, and all of a sudden Zordon's just like, it's a trap! And, and Dark Spectre pops out. They
true.
warp away, and the monster's there.
That would have been it. That would have been better.
But I guess we have to wait to see. If you guys want to tune in next week, we will be going live at 5 o'clock for the Retro Ranger wrap up. That's Pacific Daylight Time. Coming up at 7:45, right? Are we gonna have another episode of Rage Cage?
Yeah. So I know they're putting the finishing touches on it now. So provided everything goes well, that will be up at 7:45, right before the Illuminerdi Wrestling Order at 8. And following the Illuminerdi Wrestling Order. Over on our Twitch channel, Elle and I will be discussing tonight's episode of Rick and Morty, while we also talk about some new vapor products that we received.
So there you go,
we
guys.
are super excited.
So there you guys go. You've got your Sunday lineup already set for you. We started it off strong with this show. We're moving on. 7:45. We have the Rage Cage at 8 o'clock. We're moving on, continuing with that aggression, doing wrestling, and then we're ending the night with these two darlings that are here with me. So be ready to tune in. Follow us on everything that we do. And is there anything else we want to tell people before we sign off?
Tell people, tell your friends, enemies, loved ones, hated ones, whatever, to subscribe to us on YouTube. Check out our website. We've got a lot of news that's going to be coming out over the course of the next couple of weeks. I know there's a big Power Ranger story that's coming out at some point.
Oh, yes.
So make sure you stick around for that. But otherwise, we will see you guys Elle and I will see you guys in about 4 hours.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hope to see you guys later. We are signing off until we find like some cool sign off thing. All right, here we go. We're doing this.
Bye.
Watching.